BOS meeting to order. Will everyone, are you good, Cynthia?
Yes.
Would everybody join us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. Okay. Let the record show that all members of the Board of Selectmen are present, Ms. Carr, Mr. Belvin, and myself. Do we have anybody who wishes to make public comment?
Yes. Good evening to Cove Road, Pam Kraus. I didn't see the Iroquois matter under the updates on the agenda tonight, and I'm uncertain if anyone else in our group has been in touch with you, so here's an update. On January 31st, Iroquois submitted a document responding to DEEP's determination that Iroquois had underestimated the discharge limit for its permit application. Instead of adding 2 compressors as a minor source addition to the existing major source already installed, DEEP determined that the 2 additional compressors would be another major source. This is a technical call. Also, DEEP has asked for more information, had asked on best available control technologies. That's under review right now at DEEP, what Iroquois has submitted. And since the other thing that's happened is New York State issued an air permit to Iroquois, and so Connecticut is now the outstanding permit to go forward with adding compressors behind Wisconsin Middle School and other places in the state. As to FERC, when Iroquois asked for an extension for their permit so that they would be able to construct, should DEEP issue a permit behind the school and elsewhere, despite objections, FERC issued an order on February 19th granting Iroquois an extension. To simplify what's going on, the choice is this. 1, Iroquois spends lots more money and puts in electric motor drives, so generations of kids and staff to Wisconsin Middle do not have any more pollution coming from the site. Remember, there's 2 older compressors already there that are discharging, particularly when there's a southern wind. Or 2, the gas turbines go in and the kids, staff, and neighborhood take their chances on their health. What can be done? Well, FERC has been a rubber stamp of industry, and now with drill Davy drill policy, it's probably not going to get better. Besides, no one seems to know whether there will be FERC left or any regulations may be gone. So it comes down in very short order to DEEP, and more like Governor Lamont. He has the ability to protect the Brookfield kids. There's an ask. One is to follow up again on the letter in May. It's been pretty quiet since then. Also, the Iroquois document needs a technical review, should there be an intent to issue by DEEP. It needs a credentialed, specialized engineering review. It's highly technical. It's a budget season. Costs may be worth the health of the children in the community. That's it.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening, Tony Carr, 54 Indian Trail. I'm here tonight to urge the Board of Selectmen, specifically First Selectman Dunn and Selectwoman Carr, to issue a writ of censure to Selectman Belden for fabricating a story that impugned me of conduct not in keeping with my character, personality, or history. This particular character assault occurred, as you and the town have witnessed, during the January Board of Selectmen meeting when, at 1 hour and 8 minutes into the meeting, Mr. Belden, when pressed as to why he did not want a particular town member to be part of the police building committee, responded with a completely bogus story about a negative confrontation between another town resident and me, stating that my relationship with the committee and this other town member would be negative and, to summarize, a problem for the town. When asked specifically from Selectwoman Carr what was the source of Mr. Belden's information that there was a conflict, Mr. Belden responded, "I watched it." At last month's Board of Selectmen meeting, Mr. Belden issued a ridiculous statement where he claimed that immediately after the January meeting, the other town resident called him and informed him that the confrontation never happened. Mr. Belden claims that he realized he had misspoke at that time. I refer to Mr. Belden's statement as ridiculous because for over 1 month, I heard nothing from Mr. Belden. Not an apology, not an admission that he just spouted off an answer when pressed, not even that he had been confronted and that he had made a mistake. Instead, for a whole month, he continued to allow a town resident who is not a public figure, me, get questioned, scrutinized, and judged based on his lie. Only when confronted with potential consequences did Mr. Belden issue a statement. Funny thing is, when Mr. Belden, during the February meeting, was asked if he was apologizing for lying, he replied that he was only admitting to having misspoken. I was aghast then that Mr. Dunn came to his defense, saying that he should be praised for admitting to such an error and issuing an apology. Mr. Dunn, you were not the injured party. You are in no position to say what he should or should not have done, and you are also privy to consequences that Mr. Belden could face. This slander is 100 times worse than what Selectwoman Carr is being accused of, where in her case, there is no evidence she wrote anything against anybody. In this instance, any town member with streaming service can watch and hear Mr. Belden make baseless allegations against me. So again, at the very minimum, the Board of Selectmen should issue a writ of censure or a public verbal admonishment to Mr. Belden for fabricating the story. If Mr. Belden says he watched it, referencing to an altercation he saw at the firehouse, then takes it back, it brings into question his integrity or at the very least, his mental acuity. If he's not reliable enough to be trusted or on recalling simple interactions and identifying details, then perhaps he is not of sound enough mind to continue serving in a position where details are everything. If you make a motion to impose censure and the motion doesn't carry, then there are larger integrity issues with this Board of Selectmen and the town should take note of that. Thank you.
That's it? Okay, let's move on. Presentations. We don't have any presentations. Our our announcements. We're going to have, I'm sorry, did you want to say something? No. We're going to have coffee with the community. We found out today that it looks like Jester's is closed. So we'll reschedule that and come up with a new location. We're told that it closed this weekend.
They went out of business?
Yeah, is that they went out of business, I guess. They just closed.
That's too bad.
So,
I love Chester's.
yeah, it's a really nice place. So we'll figure another place to go and put that on the town website. There are vacancies on our boards, the Building Code of Appeals, the Capital Planning Committee, Commission on Aging, Economic Development Commission, Energy Advisory Board, Housing Authority, Inland Wetlands Commission, Municipal Building Commission, Parks and Rec Commission, Police Building Ad Hoc, WPCA, Youth Commission, Zoning Board of Appeals, and Zoning Commission. Anyone who's interested, you can go through your local town committee, the Republican or Democratic town committee. If you don't wish to do that or you're unaffiliated, you can come directly to the First Selectman's office and make application.
I had a question on those vacancies.
Yeah.
Cynthia, thank you for including this. I don't know if everybody got the updated boards and commissions list, but on page 7, it shows the Fire EMS Study Ad Hoc Committee. What is that?
That's a committee that's headed up by Mr. Belden to look and understand the Manitou consultant that was hired to recommend to the town what we should do with our fire and EMS services. Remember that big, thick book?
Yeah, I know it well, but
Yeah.
when did this board get established?
Oh, months, about,
I want to say we voted on it in September-ish.
yeah.
Oh, okay, I just didn't remember because this whole section is blank. And are all these members still on it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
And it's been a very good committee, talking through those recommendations.
yeah, it's working well, from what Bob tells me.
Yeah. And I sent you all one update. I owe
Yeah.
you another update on them, so.
Okay. Any other questions on that?
Nope.
Okay. Our monthly financial updates. Our Director of Finance is upstairs at the Board of Finance meeting where the Board of Ed is making their presentation to the Board of Finance. Our monthly financials, we're not asking for any transfers. The numbers are good. There are no major changes. All the revenue numbers are, we did have a difficulty with the revenue report, which will be out tomorrow. There were some numbers that didn't look right, so we're just investigating it. But after having a conversation with Miss Marion this afternoon, it looks like it's going to be fine. There was just some, our accounting system, QDS. Looks like they moved some funds around, and we just wanted to make sure we got it absolutely right. That will be for the Board of Finance tomorrow. Since there are no activities that they're asking us to do in transfers, we thought it more important that should be up there to help the Board of Finance. Are there any questions on any of the reports?
No.
I do on the expenditures report on page 6 and 7. Well, it says attachment, page 6 in the lower right-hand corner of the first report with the brown highlight. Just at the bottom where it says, fire department, and then over to the right, she has a note here in red that says, working with Brookfield Volunteer Fire Department to refine, we'll be back next month. What does that mean?
We are working with the fire company to determine exactly what their expenditures are. If you look at the budget that was proposed for the Brookfield Volunteer Center Fire Company, a lot of their budget lines changed, so we're confirming all of those numbers, that they're right, that they don't need any transfers.
So
that's it.
we voted as a Board of Selectmen, and then that budget is going to be sent to the Board of Finance, even though we're still working on the numbers?
No, this is on this year's numbers. This is this year's budget, not next year's budget.
So
Right.
nothing in here
Right now, we're not.
pertains to next year's budget.
No. Well, it might. If there was a
Right.
huge number that was way over or way under, we would adjust it in next year's budget, right?
Okay, well, maybe if you could just have Marcia, like, get back to me on that.
Yeah,
Get
absolutely.
back to us.
I don't know what her
I think
note
get back
means.
to us.
Get
This
back
has
to
been,
us.
this has been an ongoing discussion, and I
Yeah.
think we need to, if there's any changes in the current year, we
So
need to
whenever,
understand.
yeah, so whenever we do the budget, we parse through this year's budget. Where is it? Is it good? Are the numbers where they should be? Is something higher, is something lower? And that helps determine what next year's budget is. So she's going through that with them.
So if you recall in our budget reviews, both
EMS
the
and-
EMS and the center fire had wholesale changes in the line items in their budget. I suspect what this is, okay, now you've resorted next year's, as she did her inspection, let's go back and look at this year and make sure things are going in the same
Correct.
buckets.
Correct,
I'm guessing that's what this is. And it would make sense that she would,
yeah.
but
We
I
wanna
think,
get it
a
right.
follow-up from her, if we could take a note,
Yeah.
would be great.
Will do. We'll absolutely do that. New items. We have 3 items from the Police Outside Services Fund. I'd like to have John come up and just give a quick description of those. Is everybody agreeable to that?
Yeah, could I make a motion to add a 4th item to the new items portion of the agenda?
Sure, what's
Or
that?
is it 4th or 5th? 1, 2, 3. I guess it would be 5th. Well, I'd like to make a motion to add a vote for a writ of censure to be issued to Mr. Belden.
Do I have a second on that motion? You don't have a second.
This
on
isn't
it.
political, it's about doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Look, I recuse myself on that topic altogether, so.
Yeah, and I'm not going to second that motion. I think that what happened was the right thing to do. An error was made, it was corrected, it was, the gentleman involved apologized for it.
For what? For telling a lie, Steve. He fabricated a story.
No, he actually remembered,
It's inappropriate, and
no, I'm not gonna get it, I'm not gonna second
it
your
was
motion.
during the course of his duty in a public meeting,
Yep.
and he lied to the town. It's horrible, and it's our duty to issue a writ of censure.
No, I don't think in this case that it is our duty to do that. Everyone in their lifetime has said something and been mistaken in what they said. They described one thing, but it was really something else. The argument with your husband did occur. It did occur. He was screaming
An
at somebody.
argument with my husband did
Yeah,
occur. You
yeah.
saw it with your own 2 eyes.
Yeah, because I was the subject of it. He screamed at me for 15
Oh, now
minutes.
there's another story?
No, this is the same story. Bob misremembered who he was yelling at. He was yelling at me at the Halloween thing at the,
During the trunk or treat with my
Yes.
children? No, what he said to you was that he questioned you, that
Yep.
you think I, his wife, is an embarrassment to this town. That's
No,
what your
that's not what
mailer
I
said
said.
to the town of Brookfield.
No, it
She's an
isn't.
embarrassment to this town.
no, that's not what the mailer
The
said.
DTC had
Yeah,
a mailer that said that.
Yeah, no, it didn't. But, so,
Okay.
people misremember things. Everyone has misspoken in their lifetimes. They have. The key is to understand that you did it and try to make it right. I believe Mr. Belden did do that. So I won't second your motion because I don't think it rises to the level. Now, if Mr. Belvin had said, no, I'm absolutely right, even though it was proven he was wrong, then we might want to censure.
You can't even sit here and condemn him for having told a lie. He fabricated a story, Steve. He came back and said that never happened. He was mistaken. He misspoke.
No, it happened. It just happened with another person.
But he didn't say that. You're saying that.
I'm saying that.
Okay,
I'm
so
not-
now you're saying, you're bringing up in front of the public on the record that you witnessed my husband in an altercation?
Yeah, because I was the
Ah,
subject of it.
Okay.
Let's move on. I am not going to second that motion. I don't believe it comes anywhere near bringing this to a level of censure.
So Steve, I'll just say something.
Yeah.
Mr. Carr has brought a charge against me in the Board of Ethics.
Uh-huh.
The Board of Ethics goes through their process and reviews and recommends to the Board of Selectmen that I should be censured. I would ask you to at that time.
Did you waive your right to confidentiality?
Hmm?
Did you waive your right to confidentiality according to General Statute
On the Board of Ethics,
182A?
You can waive your right to send, well, you're doing
B,
it right now.
C?
I'm sorry?
You have that in writing to the Board of Ethics.
I do not.
Well, then you should watch what you're saying,
Okay.
because you're in breach of the Connecticut's general statutes.
No, anyone can say that they want to have a public, a Board of Ethics complaint can be made public by the complainant if they so choose. If Mr. Belvin chooses to do it right now, he has the right to do that. He doesn't have to do it in writing. He's the subject of the complaint, which we're just finding. He just said that
So-
if the Board of Ethics, there is a case before the Board of Ethics, a complaint against Mr. Belvin. If the Board of Ethics finds that Mr. Belvin should be censured, then we'll take it up at that point. I think we should wait for the Board of Ethics to make a determination. They're three independent people. Let them review it.
Well, I'm
and
glad that you brought
understand.
up the Board of Ethics, because we have a major problem with the Board of Ethics. And according to the Charter 4-11, C411, we, as a Board of Selectmen, should be investigating the Board of Ethics for
No.
continued
Yeah.
missteps
You are-
procedurally by breaking their own bylaws, the state
Stop.
statute, the
Stop.
code, the
Stop.
charter, time and
Tara,
time again.
stop.
They have been in violation
Stop.
of those things.
You made a motion to censure Mr. Belvin. We're talking about that. We're not talking about anything
You're
else.
bringing up the Board of Ethics investigating Mr. Belvin,
Because
not me.
Mr. Belvin was answering your question. He has now released the information that he is under review by the Board of Ethics. He has the right to do that. That is germane to your point, right? That's the end of the conversation. I'm not going to second your motion. We need to move on. Now, having not gotten a second, John, would you come up and give us an overview of these requests? Just spend a few minutes.
I don't know how I follow that, but I have 3 requests before the board. They've been approved by the Police Commission for the Outside Services Fund. The first one is for the upgrade to the female locker room. We're asking for $21,500 from the Outside Services Fund to be approved. It's in need of repair. We don't have enough lockers in there. If we do hire another female, we have to go find some lockers.
This is work we've really needed to do for many years, right? This work we needed to do, John?
Yes, there's 4 lockers in there, and there's not enough space.
Okay.
Well, there's enough space, there's not enough equipment in the room for them.
We've got these as 3 different things, so, are there any further questions for John on this?
I just was curious as to what if we move forward with remodeling or building a new, so you're gonna deposit
Yeah.
$21,000 for a female locker room that could essentially be torn down in a few years.
Right, the lockers are, sorry, the lockers are the same style that we would put in the new, or
Oh,
of
so
a
you would
similar style.
repurpose them?
So we can reuse, just like when we did the records upgrade, that's stuff that, I mean, it's gonna cost to move them, but it's not stuff that we would, I mean, if we got another building 10 years from now, it probably wouldn't be worth it, but yes, it can be
Okay.
repurposed.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. Bob, do you have any questions? And we can repurpose it if we do build a new building or rehab or whatever? Okay, I would make. a
I'll move it
motion-
myself if you approve a new building.
Yeah. I would make a motion that the Board of Selectmen approve and forward a request to the Board of Finance for an appropriation of $21,500 from the Police Department Outside Services Fund to upgrade the female locker room. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Tara seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. John, the ESU equipment?
Sure, the second request is for $8,000. For sniper equipment for a member on the ESU team. The regional team, 3 of our officers are, 4 officers are on the team. And Officer Heller, who is assigned to the sniper unit, has been borrowing equipment when he got assigned to that position. It wasn't something that we had initially budgeted for, and then we did put it in the budget last year, and we were asked to remove it. So we're asking for the money, $8,000 for additional equipment for the team. To be, I'm sorry, $8,500 is the actual.
Yeah. And Officer Heller is now fully trained to be a sniper, he just doesn't have the equipment.
That's correct.
Okay.
The number on the minutes is incorrect. It's $8,500 is what we're asking for. That's
I'm
what
sorry, what are you asking for, 8,500?
Instead of the 8,000.
That's correct.
That should be.
It's
Okay, that's not a big change. Any questions, concerns, issues you want to raise? Okay, I would make a motion that the Board of Selectmen approve and forward a request to the Board of Finance for an appropriation of $8,500 from the Police Outside Services Fund to purchase sniper equipment. Do I have a second?
Second.
Tara seconds. Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, carries 3-0. And dive equipment, John, you wanna?
The request is for $13,360 for dive equipment from the outside services, which again, was approved last month at the Police Commission, and that is to equip and replace some equipment that was already purchased. Dry suits, which are quite pricey, have I believe it's a 10-year life cycle, and 2 of them are due to be replaced. We're also asking for a couple other pieces of equipment in that.
So this is replacement equipment?
Some of it
Most
is
part?
initial issues, not, the dry suits are replacement equipment. They're custom fit, and they're about $3,500 a piece.
Okay. Any questions, concerns on this one?
No.
Okay, I would make a motion that the Board of Selectmen approve and forward a request to the Board of Finance for an appropriation of $13,360 to purchase dive equipment from the Police Department Outside Services Fund. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, carries 3-0. Thank you very much, John. Aquifer Protection Ordinance. I'll make the motion, then we can talk about it. I make a motion that the Selectmen schedule a public hearing on April 7th, 2025 at 6:45 in room 133 at Town Hall to hear public comment on proposed changes to the Aquifer Protection Ordinance to change the Town Aquifer Protection Agency from the Zoning Commission to the Planning and Zoning Commission effective December 1st, 2025. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. So this is an issue, as we merge the planning and zoning boards, we have to update all of our ordinances, and they're starting that process. And this is really just a name change, so that there's no concern or issue with it. Any questions, any concerns
So
on
that will be before the Board of Selectmen meeting?
Yeah, and then we would vote on it to adopt it.
So Steve, do we anticipate a lot of these ordinance changes?
I'm having a meeting with the chairman of the zoning board the week after next. I'm also meeting with Scott Dale with planning. What I think we should do is simply, let's get all of these and do them in one fell swoop.
Yeah.
right?
I-
Rather,
that's my
I don't wanna
worry.
do them piecemeal.
Is that we,
That's a good
if it's
point.
just a name change,
Yeah,
that ought to be a relatively straightforward thing to do.
Yeah.
And I understand you then have to run a public hearing, and we have to put it on the agenda and vote on it. I'd rather do it just once if we
yeah,
can.
I do too.
It,
So I'm gonna
it looks like this one's coming in ahead of potentially others, but,
Yeah, I think
let's,
so.
let's urge them to have, the rest of them come
Yeah,
together.
so I'm gonna meet with both of them to understand what it is, and we get coordinated and do it once.
Yeah.
That's a very
So
good point.
this has to be noticed to the newspaper?
Yes.
How much does that cost?
The fees vary depending on how lengthy it is, so I would say, something like this is probably gonna be maybe like 400.
So why don't we just wait?
Oh, that's not a bad idea. We're not in a super rush here.
No?
I think that's a
I
good
mean, if
idea.
Yeah,
we're
it
gonna
does,
be
it's a
spending
it's a good thought that
$400
we're
time and
spending,
time
we spend a
again.
lot of money if we
Yeah.
just do this over and over.
I think that's a good idea. I motion that I'll change my
No,
motion
just-
to
let's just
table
table-
this.
Let's just table it.
I make a motion to table this. That's a very good idea. Okay, I would make a motion to add a new
No,
item.
you have to vote on the
Oh,
table.
I'm sorry.
You've made a
All those
motion,
in-
now you voted to table.
Do I have a
it.
second to table?
Yes.
Bob,
So the
second?
first motion we seconded,
Should we rescind the motion or just table the?
Yeah, should we amend it or just? We don't.
to table the motion. Yeah, we'll just move to
I
table.
move to table the motion.
second.
Tara seconds, Bob seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried. I would like to make a motion to add a new item to the agenda for the Brooks Quarry Housing Community Development Block Grant application we talked about last month. We had to schedule a hearing. There was some difficulty with the state and our consultant. So I'd like to have a hearing next Board of Selectmen meeting because that's required to get the $2 million grant. So I would make a motion that the Board of Selectmen approve setting, well, I'll just read the whole thing so we have it again. Then make a motion that the Board of Selectmen approve the application for Community Development Block Grant in the amount of $2 million for the Brookfield Quarry Housing Facility Project, with funding to come from the grant in the amount of $2 million, and with the cost for architectural design and testing services to be paid for with the Community Development Block Grant Fund the town maintains for this purpose, and set a public hearing for 6:30 on April 7th, 2025. Do I have a second?
Oh, wait a second. So was the motion to add the item seconded?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
No, so you did, so
Oh,
you have to,
I made a motion
move
to add it.
To add
I
it.
described what it is. Do I have a second to add it to the agenda?
Second.
Bob, second, sorry, jumping ahead of myself here. So we have a second. I've described it. Is there any further
Well,
questions or
no, you have
concerns?
to approve adding it to the agenda first.
And, all in favor of adding it to the agenda?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, thank God.
Now you've read it.
Now I've read it.
So,
I'll get this right someday.
yeah, discussion.
Yeah.
Well, there hasn't actually been a motion yet. It's been added to the agenda, but there's
Yeah,
no motion.
and now I make the motion, should I have said now, to add it to the agenda, I will make a motion that the Board of Selectmen approve the application for a community development block grant in the amount of $2 million for the Brookfield Quarry Housing Facility Project, with funding to come from the grant in the amount of $2 million, with the cost for architectural design and testing services to be paid for with the Community Development Block Grant Fund the town maintains for this purpose, and set a public hearing for 6:30 PM on April 7th, 2025. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Okay, now we can have a discussion.
So,
You had a question?
so I just have a very fundamental question.
Yeah.
That sounds just like the motion we made last month. What changed?
With the state, the consultant wasn't able to get
So
all.
is it the date of the public hearing?
It's just the date of the
The-
public
The
hearing.
rest of it didn't change?
Nothing changed, except for the date.
so, again, it's a public meeting, hearing, so
Public
we have
hearing.
to have it noticed and it will cost $400?
No, we'll have to notice it twice. It's a short notice. I'm not sure how much it will cost, but the notice can also come out of the funding that we have in the community development block grant. So it'll be a couple $100s to do the notice. I think it's a good expense to get $2 million. And it can come out of the block grant fund that we have. Any further questions?
No.
Okay. Having gone through that, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, carries 3-0. So we'll reset that for April 7th. Updates. The federal funding freeze, this is going back and forth and back and forth. We haven't gotten any specific notifications that any funds that the town has
Steve,
are
sorry,
being,
just go back 1 second.
I'm sorry?
I don't have, who seconded the motion? I don't have a second.
I did.
Bob seconded,
Thank
yeah.
you.
I don't have an update there. We haven't gotten anything specific on that. The only thing I can think of off the top of my head is we do have claims to FEMA that might get delayed or stopped. But those funds have already been funded to FEMA, so it gets into a really, what can they send out that they already have versus, so we'll just have to wait and see. Consent agenda.
I'm sorry, with the updates, could you maybe provide an update for us on what Ms. Kraus brought up and where your head is with the whole Iroquois situation?
Yeah, on the Iroquois, I haven't heard anything. In addition to what we had already heard, I heard the same thing. The New York State has approved it. It's now before the state. The state is looking at it. There is, according to some people, technical inaccuracies in the report that Iroquois gave to the state that are being looked at right now. I'll lob another call into the governor's office on this and see if we can get anywhere. We haven't had any success so far. I don't even know where he stands on this, and that's as far as the update that I have so far.
So her ask, I heard, was for us to do another letter, and our last letter was in May, I think she said, so maybe it is time we do something.
Yeah, we could send another letter. We could send the same letter, just update it for the technical issue, right?
Yeah, she had two asks. One was an update on the May letter, right? And I think it's time to lob one. I would agree that if we drafted one, we could get one out in a day or
Yeah.
two, and let's just reiterate our point of view.
Yeah.
And then secondly, she asked for, she says there's a technical review required on the Iroquois filing, and I'll be frank, I don't know where our responsibility is versus the state DEEP's responsibility, but
We could certainly
maybe we should
remind
have
them
an
in the letter.
offline, maybe we should have an offline discussion with
Yeah.
Pam about, a little, to understand that a little bit more, of
Yeah.
what the nature is. I mean, that could be part of the letter. If there's specific technical things that need to be examined, we
Yeah.
could insist on that.
I think we will put that in there. And remember, the way that Deep works on this is they don't have a hearing ahead of time. They make a decision, which is a decision to either allow or not allow. If they make a decision to allow, they do allow after that a comment period. It's really odd. They don't allow comment before they make a decision. So if and when they do make an approval, we then can comment again. It's kind of backwards, in my opinion, but.
Ms. Cross made it sound like there's a financial commitment to hiring someone to do this technical work, so.
Oh, it would be hundreds of thousands of dollars.
We didn't budget for any of that.
No, we
No,
didn't.
it would be really, really expensive. And it is the responsibility of the state to have the right numbers, and if they don't, now we can point out to them that, and we have, like Pam is very smart on this, if the technical data isn't correct, we should say to them, hey, you need to check this. You need to have Iroquois or a third party check this to make sure these numbers are right.
I think that's our obligation to the residents, the families, the staff. I mean, we've got a problem here.
Yeah, well, we'll ask them. I don't think that the town should be hiring a technical review because it would cost us money. As you said, when we're talking about $200 ads, it will cost us a significant amount of money. And I don't think we could get it done or hire somebody in the amount of time that we're needed now that New York State has approved. I think sending a letter and requesting that they do a technical review is a
But
good way to go.
I think we ought to get some of Mrs. Krause's
Yeah.
specifics into that
Oh,
letter.
absolutely.
So she's been very helpful with our prior
Yeah,
letters.
yeah,
and
I agree.
I just, get some of the, what are we asking for them to do a technical review
Yep.
on, ought to be part of
Yeah,
that
she knows it better
discussion,
than we do.
so.
So why don't we do this? I'll draft a letter. I'll talk to Pam.
Yep.
Ask her to give us a technical. We'll update the letter that we sent previously. We'll send it again to both Commissioner Dykes and the governor and lobbying calls and see if we can get some traction on that.
Yeah, I wouldn't just resend the same letter. I would just attach our old letter and then reinforce the points.
Yeah, that's
Very
fine too.
firmly, right?
Yeah, okay, I'll do that. We'll put that together. Okay. Okay, on the consent agenda, the Board of Selectmen meeting minutes. We have driveway bond releases and none, no excavation bond releases, employee changes. We have resignations, Jalissa Babylon as a dispatcher. James Mooney transitions from a full-time dispatcher to per diem. Lori Villardito, our part-time IT technical support, has resigned, and Cassandra Varian, a recording secretary for the NBC and Inland Wetlands, has resigned. Our new hires are Elizabeth Adams, Evening Commission recording secretary, Michael Ellis, full-time dispatcher, Dylan Stewart, full-time dispatcher, Diane Furman, full-time dispatcher, and Stephanie Myers, full-time dispatcher. Additional, I think we should, that's the end of those. So I make a motion that the selectmen approve items A through E on the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Bob seconds. Any discussion, questions, concerns?
This is a correction.
Yeah,
Can I speak?
we probably have different corrections.
Jalissa Babylon is requesting per diem.
Is requesting what?
She's not resigning.
She's
going to-
resigning, but she's as full-time and per diem.
Oh, okay, thank you. She's resigning from full-time to per diem.
So the same as the next one down.
Okay, so we'll update that.
So she's staying on the rolls.
She's staying, part-time. Okay, great, thank you, John, appreciate that. With that
So,
update,
I'm sorry, my question regarding the February 3 minutes, it seems that something's missing from the comment of Bob Belden, where he says, it just says Selectman Bob Belden issued a statement,
yeah,
like regarding what?
if you look at any of our Board of Selectmen meeting minutes, they're very detailed, they have the information that's needed. If somebody ever wants to see what specifically was there, they can go back and look at the video. I
Well,
think
mean,
the minutes are fine the way
It's
they
like saying
are.
Steve Dunn made a statement. Like,
Yeah.
what, for
It's
what?
no different than
Why do we
Nelson
provide any
Malwitz and
detail
Allison
on anything
Kennedy.
in that case? You can
If
just have
you
a
look
blank
at-
document.
If you look at all of ours, Paul Checo provided an update on the Candlewood Lake School. It does not
Yeah, on
describe
the
in
Candlewood Lake
detail
School.
what that was.
On the Candlewood Lake School.
Yeah.
It should say Bob Belden issued a statement for lying.
No, it's not for lying. I'm fine with the meeting minutes as they are. If you want to make a motion to change them, you can.
I'd like to move that we amend the minutes of the February 3rd Board of Selectmen meeting to reflect that Bob Belden's statement was a fabricated story and he lied.
Bob has to recuse himself on this, I believe. I'm not going to second that motion. I think the minutes are fine as they are. If people want to go look at the video, we're more than welcome to go look at it and see exactly what happened. We do these minutes the same way every month. We do them consistently and fairly. All the information is in the detail or in the video, so I think it's fine the way it is. Having not gotten a second, do you have any other comments or concerns?
Nope.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, no, that's number 9. Is that part of
Okay.
this? No, that's next.
So for A through E, there is a motion, there is a second, right? Did you second, Bob, to
Yes.
accept the meeting?
Yeah.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those against say no.
Opposed.
Okay, 2-1. Great.
And you will reflect that one amendment that the chief gave us, correct?
I'm sorry?
You'll reflect the one
Yes,
amendment
yes,
that
we
the
will
chief gave
change
us.
that.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, appointments. I would make a motion that the Board of Selectmen reappoint Kristen Lee, Republican, as a member of the Lake Winona Authority with a term of 3/3/25 to 2/7/28. Do I have a second?
Second.
Bob seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, carries 3-0. I would make a motion that the Board of Selectmen reappoint Michael Mattson as electoral representative of the RBAC Committee with a term of 3/3/25 to 3/5/29. Do I have a second?
Second.
Bob seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, that's it. And then we just have correspondence addressed to the board.
I have a couple of things that I'd like to discuss about some of this correspondence.
You can make a motion to.
It's on the
add things.
agenda, Steve. This is our opportunity to discuss these things as a board.
What's on the agenda?
All these correspondences.
Oh, you want to talk about the correspondence? I thought you wanted to do something else.
That's what I
Okay.
just said. So regarding my email on February 17th, I'm requesting to see the emails between the town and Kerma. You may have seen my emails today, but it goes back to February 17th, where I'm looking for the emails between either you and or Marcia to Kerma for my request for insurance coverage to cover an attorney.
Yeah, we responded to you, said we received it, right?
No, I didn't get it.
I sent you an email, we sent you an email,
No,
said
I
we
need
received your request.
I need the email. There's a portion of the emails, it seems, that's missing. I need whoever initiated the email with Kerma to provide those emails to me.
We sent that to you.
No, I don't have that.
Okay, I'll double check. We'll send those to you. It's no problem. We did request of Kermit that they consider covering you. It's the second time we requested. They have not given us an answer
Well,
yet.
I'd like to see those emails
Sure.
to Kerma from whoever sent
Yeah,
them.
we'll do. We'll send that to you.
I've asked several times, and the second time I asked, it's been over a week. Okay, this one here, the first selectman email regarding the polling locations with the Board of Ed and the registrar,
Which one there? There's 100 here. Which one?
February 18th, from First Selectman Steve Dunn. My question is, do you have any solidified plans for where the polling locations will be?
Yes, we're gonna hold them in the schools. The schools have, if you pay, the Board of Ed made a vote to table their veto of allowing voting in the schools, so we can vote in the schools for right now.
Okay.
And we're gonna sit down and continue to have conversations with them to set up a process that will work for
To
everybody.
be clear, they voted to delay
Right.
their motion until September, so we had time to talk it through. So it's, they didn't back off their position.
No,
just
they
said,
still
We'll
won't."
take our time, and knowing that the registrar would like to spend some time talking through options.
Right.
And then regarding this email, February 18th, from Tony Carr regarding the Board of Ethics having an illegal meeting in the hallway where members of the public were present when they were discussing confidential matters regarding an ethics complaint. Has anybody responded to that email to the Board of Selectmen?
I spoke to the chairman of the Board of Ethics. She spoke to Mr. Carr. She was talking to him, she said.
Within earshot of many people in the hallway,
And
including
she-
the other two members of her
She
board.
told us what she said. It didn't mention any specific case, didn't mention any specific person, and the closest person was 25 feet away, she said.
Oh.
That's what she said.
Oh. I have grave concerns about the conduct of the Board of Ethics, and as required by charter, again, C411, we are required to investigate the procedural errors of the board.
I don't think they made a procedural error, but
There are plenty examples, one of which made the newspaper headlines, because they can't follow procedure. They
because
continue to have misstep after misstep. And it's a problem, and the town is going to be held accountable for it.
I look at what they do, I think that they have, if they made a mistake, they immediately corrected it and started all over again, because they didn't mail something or send something in the time allotted. Hey, that's a mistake. They then started all over again in your case, right? They did the right thing. They made a
Will they
mistake.
continue to make missteps? Attorney Beecher, are you in receipt of the most current procedural error?
I received some correspondence today, yes.
Yeah. There are several examples, and I think it is our duty, according to the charter, the Board of Selectmen shall have the power to investigate any and all agencies, boards, commissions, departments, and offices for such purposes, shall have the power to call witnesses before the Board of Selectmen to testify as any matter under investigation. Any officer or employee of the town who, upon receipt of adequate notice, fails to appear or refuses to testify. I mean, you can read it right here. It tells exactly what our obligation is as a Board of Selectmen to investigate boards who aren't adhering to town charter, statute, their own bylaws, code, etc. There's a problem, I'm telling you, within the Board of Ethics.
The problem I have is that you don't have an unbiased position here.
Excuse me?
You are under investigation by the Board of Ethics, yes?
And as Bob just mentioned, so is he.
Yes. So.
And you have members of the board who paid monetary contributions to your campaign. Want to rehash that, Steve?
Yeah, lots
Yeah.
of people make donations, they're allowed to do that.
And you don't think that's blatant bias
No, I
against
don't
any
at all.
individual
So
who's
now
not
you're
of a like
accusing
party?
people of being biased because they're exercising their rights to support the candidates of their choice. There were plenty of people who
It's a
donated to
blatant
your
bias.
campaigns that we have appointed the
Who
boards.
aren't sitting in judgment of me,
Yeah, well, I
or
don't
of
see.
you, I should say.
Tom, I would ask that you review that and see if you think there's been any thing that the Board of Selectmen should take up with regard to Ms. Carr's complaint. I know I had sent that to you and we had discussed it, but could
I
you
will
give us a
follow up
formal
with a
opinion?
letter tomorrow.
Okay, that's fine. Would you give us a formal opinion on that?
It's a problem, and
Okay.
I haven't even begin to tell you the other errors. But those are just a few examples.
If there are other errors, then bring them forth. Bring them to the Board of
They're
Ethics.
on their way.
Bring them to us. Okay.
But
great.
I'm telling you that I think we should table it and rehash
Table.
investigating the Board of
what?
Ethics.
Table
This
what?
topic.
There's no motion on the table,
correspondence?
there's no motion to table.
No, there's
Yeah,
no
the
motion.
correspondence, because we owe the constituents answers to their questions and concerns regarding the procedural
That's not part of the agenda.
happenings.
That's not
It's
part
on
of
the
the-
agenda.
It's information.
There's
No,
an
it's information.
individual-
This is just information.
It's information.
If you want,
You don't take up every item of correspondence. There's
and rehash it.
150 pieces of correspondence. That's just information.
No, it's not actionable. It's just information for the board.
So
If you
don't
wish to make a
respond to your
complaint,
constituents.
you
Got it.
can make a formal complaint, but this is just simply letters that have come to the board. We
I
read
was
them.
questioning if the Board of Selectmen, the two of you, because I haven't responded to any of these individuals on any of these topics. There's another item of grave concern that came in, you probably saw it, from Mr. Correa, regarding a child and bullying in the schools. It's disgusting. Has anybody responded to that poor
No.
family?
That is not on our agenda. There are FERPA requirements for the privacy of students. It is reason Mr. Correa's correspondence to the Board of Selectmen is not included in here. We do not want to violate FERPA in any way. We're checking with the Board of Education to make sure we do not abrogate the responsibilities to keep students' privacy, and we'll look at that. But again, it's correspondence, and the Board of Selectmen is not in a position.
Point of order.
Yeah.
We're having long discussions here on the correspondence attached to the email.
Yeah,
None
true.
of these are agenda items.
That's true.
It's on the agenda, Bob, all of them are.
Then-
Agenda, correspondence, item 10,
All right.
all of them are listed.
So Steve, I think in the future you should note as the correspondence is not part of the agenda.
Right. We'll do it.
Correspondence is
It's-
not part of the
It's-
agenda,
It's
then how am I
informational
supposed
for
to?
the Board of
It's
Selectmen
informational.
and to the public. So I'm on a
Information.
point of order. We're out of order on our agenda,
I agree.
and I move to adjourn.
I will second that. All those in favor? Aye.
No, we
Aye.
should sit here all
Aye.
night and talk
And-
about it.
Okay, thank you.